So I was a little intimidated because, I was there by myself. No, everybody else was in the back. And I'm like, is something wrong? And he's like, no. And he started to cry. He said, that table means so much to me because I'm military and I've had people that didn't come back.
Welcome to the In the Arena podcast. My name is Jared Miguez, a co-host on this podcast that brings you the inspiring stories of our clients who are leaders and innovators across different industries in Southeast Louisiana. They are visionary entrepreneurs, savvy real estate professionals, media creators, military business owners, and community champions. And we are going to showcase the remarkable achievements and share their personal stories. Tune in for insightful conversations, valuable lessons, and motivational stories that are going to reveal their secrets to success and offer you insights to help you on your own path. Welcome to In the Arena podcast. Welcome to In the Arena podcast.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to have Donna Bach with the Pizza Platoon out of Slidell.
Thank
To have some
you.
conversations. You came all the way
where is it from?
from the Dell.
Oh, the amazing Dell.
You came all the way from East St. Tammany Parish to West St. Tammany Parish today.
I did.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know.
Like you were able to make it and you didn't get lost.
I did.
Can we coach everybody on how easy that was?
I know. I say it all the time. As many places I've lived, it's so easy to drive here.
Yeah.
I love it.
People think that 20-minute drive is like across the world, like any
Yeah.
other major city in the United States. It takes 20 minutes to get places. So
I know.
not shocking. So I'm really excited today because I have a passion for our military, and as you just were telling us off camera, that your family was a military family. Your kids grew up in the military. Your
Yes.
husband was in for 27 years, which is a long time and a big dedication to our country. So
thank you for y'all's service.
yeah, I know,
Thank
and y'all is important there because I know that it's not an easy thing for families to go through a military career for somebody else. Based on the conversations I've had, I don't know it personally, but I
Group
can imagine.
effort,
Yeah,
right?
Group
It
effort.
is a group effort, that's for sure.
And so I think I really want to talk about like the Pizza Platoon and the story of how y'all were created. And I know it might have just been happenstance, but let's just give the audience a little bit of understanding of how y'all came up with the company.
Okay, so we decided we wanted to do something in Slidell as a small business, and somehow pizza came up, and I don't know how we just ran with it.
Because everybody loves pizza.
Everybody loves
Pizza's
pizza.
amazing.
And my son, who is also a part owner, Patrick, he had some experience while in college with restaurants, and so he said, "Well, if we do a restaurant, then I have experience, so I can help run it."
Nice.
So because I had decided that I spent way too many years cooking, and I didn't want to be in another kitchen for however long we have
Yeah.
the business. So that's how we came up with the idea of pizza. And then the theme of it was because, like you said, we're a military family. I met my husband right while I was in college, and we got married before I finished in Louisiana. And so when I was traveling, I graduated from college in Kansas City, so Wichita, Kansas, I mean. And so we've traveled all over the place with the military. Our kids are military brats, and so we decided we had to do a military theme to really encompass who we were as a family.
Yeah.
So cool.
And the values that y'all carry forward, right? I know you brought the list of y'all's values. How much has y'all's experience in life impacted the values that y'all picked for your organization?
Oh, I would say a lot, because everything we do is our core values. That's our personal core values as well as our company core values. So
Yeah, I think I love how you said that, because Lauren, every time she's talking with somebody who wants to come in and they have never written down or thought about their core values, they always ask the question, is it mine or is it my business? But if you operate a small business, your small business is going to be an extension of you. Yeah, so you like your values are going to align in some way between your business and personal. Now, when you have partners and you like there might be some other outside things that maybe influence the type of value system that you have, and we see that a lot with our clients, our businesses that have several partners. But ultimately, the values have to resonate with who you are personally, because you're the one who's operating that business, right? You were talking a second ago about how you're there every day. You have a key role in the organization, and it's going to embody your values to some extent.
yes.
As a person who operates it.
Yes, and we wanted to make sure we had core values so that our employees would also understand how we felt as a business. And it's when we first opened, my son told me, "Mom, you're not everybody's mother," because I would bring them cookies and cupcakes and stuff, but that's just my personality. So I wanted to make everybody feel like they were part of our family. And we feel that way at the restaurant too. Like our customers are the same way. We know them by name. Or I don't know everybody by name, but they know me by name. But the customers come in, and the kids that are working for us, they will remember the customers, what they want to order. They remember their names. We've become friends on Facebook, like I'm sure you guys have done with your business. So it's just part, and that's one of our core values is Southern hospitality. And that's because we want everybody that walks in our door to feel like they're part of our family.
Yeah. And so the Southern hospitality value, what does that actually mean? So I think some people who might listen to this might not understand like what we truly mean with Southern. And you've traveled across the United States, right? Being in the military. So I mean, the Southern hospitality is different.
It's a thing.
Than what other people experience. So like, what does that mean to you and your business?
Well, for me, like I have lived all over the place, and I've lived on the East Coast, I've lived on the West Coast, and it's a whole different atmosphere out there. Like for me, Southern hospitality is when somebody comes into our store, we thank them for coming in. You know, we say welcome to our store. We, go over there. I talk to their babies if I'm in the store. Sometimes I get handed people's babies. It's just making them feel like they're part of our family and not somebody just coming in and giving us their money, because we don't ever want anybody to feel like that. I mean, we've even included, because we're military and we wanted people to feel like we're part of the same, we're all in the same community. We did a wall of heroes, the back wall of our restaurant, and we encourage people to bring in pictures of their loved ones that have served in the military or that serve now. Wow. And it's been beautiful because we've had little kids come in and daddy or mommy was on deployment, and the kids come in and like, that's my daddy, that's my mommy. And it's very touching when you see that. So that's what Southern hospitality is to me, is making everybody feel welcome and warm and excited to be in our place.
Connected. Yeah. There's
Connected
a connectivity that people just don't understand that we have here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. And so you talked about how your employees feel the same way. Mm-hmm. How do you assure that when your employees come in that they have that same mindset?
Well, when we interview, that's part of our interview. I believe, and I've taught this to my son as well as now my daughter-in-law, because she works for us as well. But when we're interviewing people, I want to know how they feel, what can they offer? Because you can teach people how to make a good pizza. Mm-hmm. We have a book of our little guidebook that shows everybody how to make the pizzas, how to answer the phones, how to speak to people. But the end of the day, you want somebody that's going to be genuine. And so that's what we look for. Even though we do try and hire all different abilities. So we do have some people that aren't quite as friendly or as outgoing, and they know that, and they work really hard at doing it because they know how important it is to us.
And are you having those conversations on the front end with those people to let them know, like, this is what we expect, even though it's not your tendency to naturally do that, we're still going to expect you to do that as you're working and operating within our business?
Yes, and we have to remind people all the time.
Yeah.
Good old reminder.
But I mean, it's just different personalities, and I'm fascinated with all the different personalities out in the world. Mm-hmm. And to me, there's something positive in every personality type and every ability. So if you have somebody that may be on the autism spectrum that's working for you, and you know that that's not going to be an easy thing, then you have to work with that person just a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. And we do that. So we try and include everybody because we try and be as inclusive as we can with that.
Help them develop. That's good.
And from a personality standpoint, it being aware of that, it allows you to manage people in the way they need to be managed. It's not just show up and expect everybody to perform the same way and be the same person, right? You give them the ability to be themselves, and you let them know, like, you're this part of the job you're going to do well at because of your personality, but you need to be aware that this is what we expect, and this is going to be another part of your job, and you have to be able to act in a certain way in that instance, and having conversations and coaching conversations is important.
That's true.
We hire attorneys and staff that are handling legal work, and so we have similar personality issues, right, or personality dynamics within our organization, because it's just the reality of people. Like, businesses dealing with human beings and people, and you can have the best business plan in the world, the best pizza recipe in the world, but when you plug in a human being to have to be a part of that, and we're not quite there with AI to where it's doing everything for us yet.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness. And
it can't do that for sure.
That's right.
So, but until that happens, you're going to always be dealing with personalities, and you have to be aware of those things. Are y'all using a certain type of of assessment to know what somebody's behavioral style is when they come in the door?
Honestly, we don't do that as a business, but I kind of do it when I go in because I've studied it in school. I've been through leadership North Shore or leadership St. Tammany, and it's like you learn these different personalities. And even within our staff, like my son and my daughter-in-law, my son and I have similar personalities, but we all have different personalities and we all handle things differently. So like my daughter-in-law is she's very much more introverted than I am. And so the way she deals with something is different than the way I would. So I've even had to learn as we open that you can't talk to somebody the same way as you would talk to anybody. I mean, everybody has their own way of accepting your personality. And I know I can be a lot sometimes. So I have to scale myself back when I'm dealing with people that are a little more introverted. And then,
Same girl, same.
And I've had, and I've had to tell my managers, sometimes you have to come out a little bit more to reach into a person. So we kind of all we've been learning that as we go, but I think it would be a good idea to have like an actual assessment of that. I don't want anybody to feel like they're being psychoanalyzed every time they walk in.
Oh, we do. We talk about it a lot. It's
you?
part of our operating system. We share the personality assessment of every single person in our organization, including ourselves, with everyone in the organization. Because if they come to us with an issue, that's the first thing that we're going to do is ask about their own self-awareness and ask if they've tried to understand that other individual. I mean, it's innate behaviors. Even this morning, I was telling my husband, there's just this energy of everybody being triggered right now, and they're just living their natural behavioral style, right, in a stressful situation. But it's like, man, it's a lot, and it's intense. And I think the most exhausting part of my day yesterday was putting on the different hats. Because like you said, you talk differently to everyone. Like Jared and I can go really deep, loud, almost looks argumentative to other people, and we're just having a passionate conversation with one another, and having to soften that blow and step back, or soften a hard conversation that you have to have. It can be exhausting throughout the day doing that with multiple people, but then at the same time be so rewarding because you're setting an expectation for them and watching people excel to meet your expectation. I mean, that's leadership. That's individual growth. And for me, that's why I'm stepping forward to do these things every day.
Yes. I agree. And I mean, I've learned as we've opened the business, because even for me, you have different customers that come in with different personalities, and that's also difficult to deal with sometimes, but it's also beautiful at the same time, because we have so many amazing customers that walk through our door and are just so generous and kind and loving toward our staff. And then every once in a while, you'll get somebody who may not be and might be disrespectful to the staff. And I want my staff to know that there's a way to handle those people, even if it means we have to ask them to leave. And we've done that before, because my staff has to come first in my mind. Yeah, sure. My customers also come first, but in a different way. Like, I wouldn't want my customers to feel disrespected any more than I would my employees. Yeah. But I've talked with my managers before about the personalities, and I've even told them, do the little test. I mean, I know what I am, and everybody, I'm so extremely extroverted that I can come off to be a lot. So I have tried to scale back for some of the people there that are, they can't take me 100%.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to go back over here, because we're both the same people that are like definitely directing in your face.
We're your level of crazy.
Yeah. But I think, it's an opportunity, and more than anything, whenever you have somebody who comes in, that you have an opportunity to speak to them the way that they want to be spoken to, or to solve a problem on their level. I mean, it can be a challenge. And different behavioral styles can be an issue if people aren't self-aware enough, but it also is an opportunity for you to really get to know somebody and speak to them on their level when you really understand behavioral assessments and personalities, like we do with the DISC assessment. Like we teach people how to use it to scale their business through hiring, through managing, and through marketing. Because if you can when you're really good with the DISC assessment and behavioral assessments, you can look at somebody's profile, who they are, and interact with them a little bit and know exactly how they want to be spoken to. And you walk into one pizza shop and they don't understand that, and you can get rubbed the wrong way. When another one approaches you a little different, just because they understand who you are personally, and you enjoy working with them more. Like, if you're the type of person that's an introvert and your waiter walks up and they're very outgoing and they just want to talk to you the whole time, you just want to enjoy your pizza by yourself, you might go to the next pizza shop, right? Yeah. But if you're the person who wants to interact with somebody, and you're the server who doesn't necessarily want to talk to somebody, then that person might be like, well, this place is not very friendly, right? So you got to be able to read people and understand the dynamics to be able to have somebody trust you to build a relationship with you. So I think that's super important. So one of the things that's important to Lauren and I, and we try to talk about this a lot on this podcast, is what St. Tammany Parish means to us, right? Because our purpose is to help the people in this area grow and succeed in business, right? And so we spend a lot of time talking about St. Tammany Parish and the greater New Orleans area. And so you're obviously in Slidell. You chose Slidell to operate your business, and y'all also have a military background. You support military. So what does St. Tammany mean to you, and how do you give back to that community?
So St. Tammany for me is a safe haven. I've lived all over. Like I said, I lived in Boston. We lived in Washington State, Ohio, Kansas, Hawaii, which Hawaii is really nice. But and St. Tammany was safe. It was a safe place for me to raise my children. I enjoyed the people that I got to know. And then once we opened a business, I became very involved in our community. And so it was, for me, St. Tammany is a place that I enjoy calling home, even if other people want to have their complaints about it. I think you can always look for something positive. And with our business, we try and give back to St. Tammany because, like I said before, that is very important to me. So we do a lot of fundraisers with Pizza Platoon, and we started with just military fundraisers. Everything was geared toward our veterans and things like that. And I do a lot of volunteer work with all of that. But then we started, once COVID hit, we decided, okay, there's other nonprofits that are going to need us. And so then we started doing different things with other nonprofits. And then the hospitals, we heard stories about them not having lunch breaks. So we started bringing pizza over to them. And
Because you can eat pizza while you're working, right? You don't need a break to eat pizza. Like you can work and eat pizza at the same time.
That's what we figured. They could at least have pizza. But one of my friends, her daughter was an ER nurse.
Yeah.
And she said, my baby doesn't get to eat. And for me, being part of a community is like, oh no. So I said, well, I'm going to bring pizza over. And then I thought, you know what? Instead of me just doing it, I can only afford X amount. I'm going to reach out to my community. And so what St. Tammany means to me for real is when I did that, I had so many people donating money to buy pizza for the hospitals. So we may have been the catalyst behind it, but it was all of St. Tammany that came together and brought those pizzas over to the hospitals. And just like every storm and hurricane and any disaster that we had, we did the same thing. And all I had to do is make a little post on Facebook, and people I don't even know will Venmo me $100 to help pay for the police officers that are out there protecting us, or the firemen that are risking their lives every day for us. So St. Tammany is that to me. We have a very generous community, and I love that part of St. Tammany. So that's what St. Tammany means to me.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. If you ever feel like a pizza, you can bring it over to us because I don't get a lunch break either. But the nurses and the doctors and the first responders definitely need that more than I do.
We definitely want to come to this side, so we want to have a second location over here eventually. So we're looking. My husband's going to retire from his next job. He retired from the military after 27 years. And when he retires in January, we definitely want to be working on our second location and then hopefully expanding from there.
Yeah.
So.
We know a place called Terabella.
We would love it.
We would love to have a pizza spot here. We would be there often because
We would.
I live in the neighborhood. My kids will be. I've been knocking on your door. They'll scoot over there in little scooters and come get some pizza from you. But so like one of our values is legacy. And I think that it's a funny thing in this area, in this town, and where we're at in 2025, how businesses are growing and scaling, and also businesses are being sold or passed on to their kids. So legacy is something we like to talk about, and from our standpoint, the legacy that we want to leave is that we've made the business community in St. Tammany Parish better, and we promoted the businesses here because I think there's obviously cool businesses here like Pizza Platoon that people don't necessarily know exist or founded in St. Tammany Parish. So if you were going to like kind of wrap that up in what y'all want y'all's legacy to be as a group, as you expand, right? What does that legacy look like?
I hope that we can continue to give back as much as we can to the community and be as big of a part of the community. Because in Slidell, my kids tease me that everybody in Slidell knows who I am. And it's because I'm out there every day promoting our business. No matter who I meet, I introduce myself and I tell them what our business is. But I'm hoping that no matter what the natural disasters or what happens in our community, that our legacy would be to be the people that have always given something back. And I mean, I saw that when my one of the last natural disasters happened, and before I could even make the phone call to my son, he called me and he said, "Mom, nobody has power, but we can start up the generator with the food truck, and we can bring pizza to all the linemen that are working." Cool. And it was pitch black and it was me, him, and his wife and my husband, and we were all in there, and it was dark other than where we were at, making pizzas and getting the word out there. So I hope my legacy would be that we continue to do that, and that's how people remember us at the end of the day. And of course that we have great pizza, but
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's working.
Yeah.
If that's his first thought was, okay, let's do this. Let's jump in and help. It's working.
Yeah.
I was so proud.
Passing
I was
on the
very, very
goodness.
proud of him. Him and his wife, they both came up with the idea and they were like, we'll do it. We'll go out there right now. And I was like, that's awesome. Thank you.
great.
I just love that you share that story because it's hard for me sometimes, especially in the business sense, to explain the beauty of Slidell. But that sums it up more than any of the unique businesses and entrepreneurs that we have there. But we just take care of one another.
We do.
No matter what. I mean, I don't know that there's a time that somebody's been through something, even if it's a personal family thing, that there's not a friend or family member on Facebook and everybody's already ready to support them.
Well,
and whatever it is.
And not only just those things, but we first started, we had other businesses and we still do. There's other small businesses in Slidell that if I have a question, I can reach out to any of them and they'll help me with it. And we're all restaurant people. We're not in direct competition.
Right.
But the fact that some of these gentlemen, and it's been the men that I've spoken to, they will happily give me the information I need.
Yeah.
Or during the time when we were giving out pizzas, we ran out of boxes because it was that hurricane that knocked into Lake Charles area, and or wherever it was, I can't remember. But the places where our boxes were coming from got destroyed. So we gave away all these pizzas and all these boxes and we didn't have boxes. And so I just put a message out there and I had other pizza places that reached out to me that are in Slidell that just recently moved to Front Street. So you probably know who I'm talking about. They offered to help us with that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So it was amazing to me. And then we've had people that make bagels that have offered us dough when we needed the flour to make the dough because we couldn't get our supplies.
Wow.
And when I had questions about what do I do with all the alcohol and stuff, then I had another restaurant person that is on gauze that said, this is what you need to do. So it was like we all came together and not everybody can appreciate that in other places because I've lived in a number of places and I've never seen that type of a community until I was in Slidell.
We'll wrap it all back up.
Yep.
It is
Well, I want to
truly-
talk about one more thing before we hop off
Sure.
because you made a point earlier today, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. But you said something about how you have your very important role, right? And you could do everything if you needed to, but you focus on your main area of the business, right?
Yes.
And so I would bet it has something to do with marketing and relationships, being that you're outgoing and you smile as much as you smile because that's usually a good sign that you're out there marketing to people. But how do y'all designate the roles within the leadership that you have, right? Because it's all family, which
It
you
is.
know it's,
even more complicated.
it's more complicated because I
is.
mean, like there's 4 partners and we all love each other and we all appreciate each other, but we don't have to go home to each other. Like we get a little bit of a break.
That's right.
How do y'all manage that from a leadership team within you and your husband and your son and his daughter-in-law?
Well, at first it was a little bit difficult at first because we all were like, no, we all know better. We all, had our strong opinions. And then we started to see that we needed to go back to our personality assessments and figure out what our strengths were. And I know what my strengths are, and I'm very confident in them. So I knew what it was. And I could be at Pizza Platoon every day, morning till night, and work with my customers, and I'd be perfectly happy. But I don't want to be sitting in the office doing any of the paperwork. But my daughter-in-law, she's good at sitting in the office and doing the paperwork. That's what she's strong at. She's strong at making the orders and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I would much rather go out there and hold somebody's baby if they want me to, or go market my business and look for a second location. And my son, he's kind of all around. He can do all of it. I mean, he's very personable, so he can go out there with the customers. People really like him, and he's very outgoing as well. But he's also got the book smarts with the math and stuff that he can do all of that.
Yeah.
And then my husband, he's more behind the scenes. So you'll see him in the food truck every once in a while when we go out to Heritage Park for the Bayou Jam.
Yeah.
He'll come out for that and help with it. But he's our math guy, so he will do all of those kind of things together, all the taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He does that. So we kind of just decided what would be our strengths, and then we ran with them.
Yeah. So y'all, I mean, it takes a second to figure out what lane everybody's going to get in, but once everybody gets in their lane, you let them do their thing, and you have to trust they're going to get the job done.
And
Yes.
accepts their lane,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
mean,
Yes.
there's an element of personal awareness that it's not just one person saying, okay, everybody, we're all going to focus on our strengths. Well, what are your strengths? Do they even want to figure out what their strengths really are? Are they capable of seeing their own weaknesses, right? And they're capable, once you decide, to actually stay in your freaking lane.
Yeah.
So it's
I
a
know.
process.
It was hard because at first I was there when we first opened the first year. I was there from morning till night, and I never left. And I'm a neat freak, and I like things very organized. And so I would notice every little thing, and I was like, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. And my son was like, well, I thought I was the manager. And I was like, well, you are. And he goes, but you're not letting me manage. So I said, you're right, I'm not. So I'm going to stay in my lane. I can do that, but I would be much better at going out there and marketing because I don't know anybody that's not a friend.
Yeah.
Everybody I meet is a friend eventually, So once we figured it out, and it was hard for me because I like to have control of things too. So it was hard for me to let go of that and say, okay, I know you got this. And sometimes I still follow up and he's, bug him a little bit, but he loves me. So
It's accountability. That's okay.
it all works out.
He's a mama's boy, so they work it out. Is that what it is?
And honestly, it keeps, like, we've set a standard in our restaurant to keep it very organized. And we had a leadership group in my restaurant the other day, and two of them have restaurants, and they said, can we see your kitchen? And I was like, absolutely. So I took them in the kitchen. We went into our freezer where everything is labeled and just like you're supposed to have it. And they were like, wow, that's so organized. It's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, they've kept with it because we have our book, what you're supposed to do and how it's supposed to be. And so
That's great.
and they've given me a little more of the leadway with the creativity. Like when we were designing the place and picking stuff out, like I wanted to have the Wall of Heroes, and I also wanted to have a fallen soldier table. That was important to me. And now they all see the importance of it because we have customers come in and their kids will ask, what is that table? Why is there a Bible on the table? And what is it? And then their parents will explain what it means to them. So they've allowed me to be a little more into the creative stuff that I enjoy doing, as well as the making sure it's organized and labeled.
Yeah.
And my daughter-in-law is very, very organized. So she's like, it has to be labeled. It has to be this way. So it works out perfectly.
That's awesome. So Lauren always talks about how operating systems and the way that businesses operate, it's not unique to every. The business concepts are all the same.
Yeah.
Right. And so we always teach our clients that you create an accountability chart with the different roles in your organization, and everybody owns their role in their organization. It sounds like y'all are very similar to that. Y'all just came about it in a little bit different way, which is really cool.
We try.
Before we get off, and I know I said this already once, but I really want to talk about that fallen soldier table.
Okay.
So tell us about what that looks like and what that means and what y'all do with that fallen soldier table.
Well, we have it's one of those things. It's a very emotional table because, the whole meaning behind it is that you leave a space for the soldier that didn't come back. So we have our chair there. And at the time when we first opened, I was volunteering with an organization called Camp Nora. And that guy was a Vietnam veteran. And so he gave us a Vietnam cover for our chair. And so we have that out. And then you have the plate that has salt, because that's the tears of the soldier not coming back. You have the cup overturned because they're not going to get their drink. And we've had people come in, older Marine guys will come in and buy a beer for the table, which is so emotional, but it has the flags there and it has the meaning of what the table is with the little lemon wedge. And so kids will come in and they will ask the questions. I even had a grown man when we first opened, and it kind of startled me because I wasn't expecting it, but he said, "Come here. Are you the owner?" And I was like, "Yes." I thought I was in trouble. I was like, "Is everything okay?" And he was this very large man, very muscular. He had tattoos covered his entire body. So I was a little intimidated because, I was there by myself. No, everybody else was in the back. And I'm like, "Is something wrong?" And he's like, "No." And he started to cry. He said, "That table means so much to me because I'm military and I've had people that didn't come back." So it means a lot to us. And that's why we decided to have that table up there, and just to show our respect and hopefully to educate the younger generation exactly what it means when you sign your name to serve your country.
Yeah. That's awesome.
When we first opened, we had 2 Purple Hearts that came in, and they ordered the Purple Heart because we have some pizzas listed, and they said, "We have to order the Purple Hearts because it's a husband, wife, both Purple Hearts."
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And I went in the back. My husband was there at this time. We were both there. And I said, "Gosh, we have 2 Purple Hearts in here." And he came out, he had to meet them, and it had him in tears knowing that they were there. So it's the camaraderie of the military, it's a family. It always was when we were in the military. So to have it in our restaurant too is something very special. And that's why we wanted to have the Fallen Soldier table as well as the Wall of Heroes, so we could say thank you to all the men and women that have given so much for our country.
Yeah.
You need to send in a picture so that when we publish this, everybody can see it.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
And if you had no other reason to go visit, then you at least need to go visit and see that, because that's
see
a
the
great
Wall of Heroes.
So, well, Don, that was great. I appreciate you coming and talking to us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really cool. I can't wait to share this with everybody and have more
know,
people
it was
come
fun.
visit. Yeah, it was fun.
And everybody can visit us in the Dell.
Yeah,
I'll buy
come
you a
see us.
pizza.
Yeah.
They can come to the Dell, or they can call us up and we can get our food truck out.
Yeah, cool. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Lauren.